Hello, family. Welcome to BabsWTV, where we talk about real life, real struggle, and what's going on in today's world. If you feel like life been getting more hard, things been getting more expensive, things just don't feel the same anymore, you're not alone. On this channel, we talk about real cost of living, job market struggle, money problem that people are going through, and the real life, everyday life that people are not talking about. No filter, no sugarcoat, just real conversation. So let's watch this clip about why the middle class is dying right now.
Holy frickin' moly, guys. The theorists were right again. The middle class is quickly disappearing. According to the 2026 World Inequity Report, fewer than 60,000 people now hold 3 times more wealth than half of all humanity. 60,000 people. That's right. 0.0001% of the population now owns 8% of all the money in existence. And here are 2 more intriguing stats for you guys. The top 10% now owns nearly 75% of all global wealth, and the bottom 50% of humans combined share just 2% of that wealth, with income following the exact same pattern. This is a big deal because the theory is that the drive to eliminate the middle class is based on the notion that they are economically independent, politically influential, and difficult to control. So by concentrating wealth at the tiny little top and pushing the middle class downward into debt and insecurity, elites can create a 2-tier system. Like a small, flamboyant ruling ownership class and a large dependent population that relies on the governments, corporations, and centralized institutions for survival. You see, a weakened middle class means less resistance, less mobility, fewer small property owners, and greater compliance, making societies easier to manage through regulation, surveillance, and financial leverage without the need for overt authoritarianism. But you see, none of this even has to happen, because in order to accomplish this, they would need civilians unaware of this mission and compliance in the process. So get yourself and your neighbors involved in local government and city hall meetings, pay attention to every large property sale or regulation shift, and shine a light on every darkness you find. Basically, don't be an NPC. Be an active participant in your community, because all this starts on a local level. Stay vigilant, my foiled friends. It's up to us to save the other frogs.
Can we talk about how being middle class is a freaking scam?
My husband's working 70 to 80-hour weeks, and we're still just barely making it. We don't qualify for food stamps, Medicaid, or any kind of assistance, but we're far from being comfortable.
I know that there are so many of you who are just like us, working so hard, feeling like you're treading water just to stay afloat. It's like the system is set up to make middle class families struggle. If you've been feeling this too, drop me a comment, share this, because we're not alone. It's giving work hard and you'll achieve the American dream, except plot twist, the dream is paying bills and eating leftovers for the 3rd time this week.
I don't understand, brothers and sisters. Look at this. My American dream is over. Look at this. $842 to electricity. Are you kidding me? I work in 7 days a week. I only go home to sleep. I only have like microwave and a little stove right there. Ain't no time for cooking my taquitos. And look the bill, $842. You play with me. You push me to go left. You push me. This is too much money. Oh my gosh. I coming here for green money. Look at me. I working for the state. Oh my gosh. Pay and pay every day. I can.
How did the middle class die? I'm going to tell you, it started in the 1980s with trickle-down economics that did not work. They decided to give tax cuts to the rich and corporations, saying that money would trickle down. It didn't. It just made the rich richer. Then we greenlit stock buyback. So instead of, when the productivity was going up, instead of giving workers more money, they just bought back their stocks so the shareholders could make profit and the executives could get bonuses. Then we had leverage buyouts, and the government didn't regulate leverage buyouts, and that was the start of private equity basically buying up everything so that they could make more money. Then we moved away from pensions to 401ks, which essentially just took the responsibility and accountability of the company to take care of their workers with the retirement and put it on to individuals, but we were never taught taught economics in high school, so how the fuck are we supposed to know about compound interest and investing? But they said the 401k was better than the pension when it wasn't. Then they started shipping our jobs overseas, building the middle class of other countries so that they could make more profit, destroying the middle class here. Then we started ramping up the borrowing money and getting into debt as a country, which devalues our dollar. And then in 2008, we had predatory lending, which crashed the housing market, fucked over so many Americans. And then we used taxpayer money to bail out the banks. And when all the houses were cheap, the rich went and bought those up. And that's when you started to see the rent start to increase around the 2010s into the 2015s. And then in 2011, we allowed super PACs to exist. So billionaires can now buy elections, and they use that money on attack ads, which divides the country.
Middle class has been stripped out of the labor market. A CEO used to make 20 times what a production worker makes, now it's 300 times. Doctor used to make 4 times what a nurse makes, now it's 8 times. Partner at a law firm used to make about 5 times what a legal secretary makes, now it's 40 times. Listen to this one. A bank CEO used to make 50 times what a bank teller makes, now it's 1,000 times. So what used to be the good, skilled, and mid-paid jobs have now been replaced by some low jobs and a very few high-up jobs. If we want to fix inequality, we have to fix work.
The middle class is about to disappear. If we go all the way back to 1945 after World War II, that's when the middle class started. And there were a lot of reasons why it happened. Part was the GI Bill. Industries were taking off. People could actually build a good life for themselves. Working at minimum wage, they could survive. That's all gone, and it's about to end soon. I'll be back.
A new study just came out telling you whether or not you are middle class, so let's see how you stack up. Now, this is from the U.S. Census Bureau, and the way we're going to determine this is by household income. Now, as you can see behind me, if you are lower class, you are making under $30,000 per year, and on average, this makes up around 20% of the U.S. population. If you make between 30K and 58K, then you are in lower middle class, which is about 21.5% of the population. And for middle class, you need to make $58,000 to $91,000 per year, which makes up right around 20% of the population as well. You see a common trend, we're already at 60% of the US population. Upper middle class goes and makes between $94,000 and $154,000 per year, and that's 18.6% of the population. And to be considered upper class, you need to make over $153,000 per year.
The hard truth that not a lot of people want to talk about right now is that in this here economy, the middle class no longer holds the weight that it used to. So they look good on paper, right? They look stable on paper because they got the good job, they got the homes, they got the benefits. But in real life, they are literally one emergency away from financial chaos. And it's not because they're irresponsible with their money, y'all, but it's because a lot of the middle class was built on debt, not stability. So what happens if there's a medical emergency? What happens if someone loses their job? I can tell you from seeing it firsthand, there is a lot of panic. And that is exactly why I teach people how to build financial stability, because lifestyle, that can be very misleading. Links in the bio.
Serious question. How are people surviving on minimum wage right now? I mean, rent, groceries, gas, all of that is very, very expensive to live on your own. So my question to you is, how are you surviving right now, currently, in today's society?
I would like to know. I really, really would like to know if the current administration has a clue about the average American middle class family and what they are currently struggling with. I saw a video yesterday on this channel that broke my heart. A family of 5 can't stay where they are because they can't afford it. They can't afford rent, they can't afford to pay their bills, they can't afford to buy food. And the entire time this is happening, the current administration and our current national press, the majority of them, continue to spill and push the narrative, oh, things are great, we're better off than we were. Oh, we don't need to make any changes. Oh, the current administration is on top of things. The current administration is working diligently for the American people to make our lives better. Really?
Do they honestly think the average American is stupid? Do they really think we fell off the turnip truck yesterday and we don't know what's going on? We are in the trenches. The American middle class is now shrinking to a point there will be no middle class because we cannot afford to continue to go in this direction. At the end of each month, how many of us have to use credit cards just to get through the month? So not only do we not have enough for that, but now we have to pay exorbitant interest rates to use credit cards. I guarantee you, the current administration, and frankly, the majority of our government, is not in the middle class. So all of this doesn't affect them at all. It's like blinders are on. Now, there are some politicians who are finally realizing that we are drowning. We're drowning. And Americans are leaving America because there are other less expensive places to live. I am in the Houston area, which 10 years ago had the best housing market in the world. I've bought 4 houses in Houston. 4. And what has happened to our market is the same thing that happened to Arizona in 2008. The average home, average cookie cutter home, is over $300,000. If you're not married and have 2 incomes, you might as well forget it. So that thing called the American dream that we all work so hard for, if you don't have over $200,000, you might as well just forget about it. If things continue this way, that dream will not be around. And for me, I have children and I have grandchildren. That pisses me off. Lucky 2 of the 3 of my children have been able to buy their home, but they're married. The 3rd one is not. He's got a good job. He's a probation officer. He can't find a home that he can afford. And that's despicable, considering he's trying to change and improve and correct the lives of 10 to 17-year-olds. It's unacceptable. So, if you happen to be working in our government, from this middle class person who, by the way, is a small business owner as well, wake up. We're drowning. And you've got to make changes. You have got to make changes. If you're part of the current cover-up and the current if you're currently participating in the fact that you don't want to admit that there are serious issues and our commander-in-chief is in serious trouble because he is not well, anybody in their right mind can see that. We're not stupid. How much more do you expect the American people to go through? Enough is enough. We have got to get this ship headed in the right direction before the middle class and the American dream is completely dead. Please pay attention and do your jobs. You owe it to the people that put you in the position that you were elected to. We're your boss. The American people are the boss. And we're done. We are done. We are done. We are done.
We're looking at the death of the American dream, the death of the middle class. I mean, back then, you can get a steady job, often without a college degree. You could buy a house that was 2 to 3 times your annual income and be fine. You'd even have enough to save a percentage of your check, and you can retire with a pension. Nowadays, you gotta have $1 million to be considered comfortable and $2.5 million in order to feel wealthy. So you don't even think about retiring until you get into that million range. It's looking rough out here, and somebody's gonna get left out.
We've been hearing for a while now that the middle class in America is basically extinct and has been wiped out, which turns out is actually true. Because nobody can really afford to have kids, people cannot afford to get married, or if they do get married, then they forfeit buying a house, and forget about buying a brand new car unless you want to sink yourself into debt that you cannot pay for. Well, if these talking points resonate with you, you're definitely not alone, because these all used to be markers of the middle class lifestyle. Being able to get married, buy a house, have kids, and buy a new car were all commonplace 30 plus years ago when the middle class was alive and well. Instead, today, younger folks are stuck with rising costs, stagnant wages, and ever-increasing bills that they can't keep up with. So let's take a look at what happened to the middle class and why it's essentially gone these days. Well, if we look back into the World War II era, being middle class meant something like having a steady job, a home you could afford, and just one income while mom stayed home and took care of the kids, all while being able to buy a brand new car and the ability to raise a family without any financial constraints. And I think we could all agree that today's America looks nothing like that. Pew Research defines being middle class as earning anywhere between double to 2/3 of the median national income, depending on where you live. So the median national household income is about $80,000, $85,000. So in order to be middle class, you got to be earning at least $130,000 to $160,000 a year to sort of be middle class these days. And even though that definition really hasn't changed, the amount of people who fit into that category definitely has, as wages just haven't kept up with inflation. Like, for example, back in 1971, 61% of Americans were part of the middle class. And fast forward to 2023, that number has dropped to 51%, which I would say it probably is actually a lot lower than that. I don't even believe that it's 51%. I would say it's probably more like 20%. Because you got to remember that these numbers come from people taking a survey. And they'll ask people, do you consider yourself middle class? And they'll say yes or no, but their definition of what middle class is might be totally different from the real definition. Most people who claim to be middle class certainly don't make 2/3 to double the median national income. And it's not really a big surprise that the cost of living is the main culprit of why the middle class has essentially gone extinct. The median U.S. single-family home has nearly tripled in price between 2012 and 2025, jumping from $164,000 to $460,000.
The American dream is not dead. Your life is not horrible. This is the best time in the history of man to be alive. There's more opportunity now, more chance to be somebody, more chance to build wealth and change your family tree. It's easier now at this moment than at any time in human history.
Easier? I don't know, Dave. I got to disagree with you on this one. I mean, is there more opportunity and resources to make it into the top 10% today for the American dream? Absolutely. But you know the group that's been left behind? The typical essential workers. I mean, if you look back to 1996, 30 years ago, two EMTs fall in love. They're making 46 grand, which is more than the median household income back then. They want to buy the median house, $120,000, 20% down, 24 grand, 6 months of savings, 7.8% interest rate, payment out the door, $840, 22% of their gross income. Beautiful. Today, two EMTs fall in love, $90K, $405,000 for the median house, 20% down payment, $80K, almost an entire year of both their salaries, 6% interest rates, out the door, $24.50 for their payment, 33%. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. $46,000 to $90,000 adjusted for inflation is a 0% increase for their wages. Yet the housing went up 67%, healthcare on the employee portion, 190% increase, groceries 125%, college 150%, cars 90%, all adjusted for inflation. And EMTs is just an example for my story. The typical essential worker, EMTs, 911 dispatcher, nursing aide, medical assistant, forklift operator, warehouse worker, delivery driver, utility worker, construction laborer, electrician apprentice, sanitation worker, bus driver, maintenance, security guard, school custodian. Typical essential jobs have been left behind. At best, they've had a 5 to 10% wage increase where everything else has increased this much. They have been left behind. These are essential jobs that just 30 years ago could buy a house, raise a family, and live the American dream. So the American dream is alive and well, but you got to be in the top 20%. What happens to the people in the bottom 80%?
So I want to agree with this comment on the numbers that the person chose, because those of us that aren't making enough know that like $100 would just, or $100,000 rather, would just get us on the other side of sort of not having to live paycheck to paycheck. But when we talk about the middle class in this country, we are forgetting what that conversation used to mean. The middle class meant that one person could work. There's a stay-at-home parent, 2 kids, animals, 1 to 2 cars. The house is big enough for everybody to have their own place. They take multiple vacations a year. The parents can save up enough money to put both the kids through school for a reasonable amount of money, and both the parents can put away money for their retirement. That is what the middle class used to be. And there were like percentages for all this, right? Like X number goes in savings, X number goes into retirement. Do you remember how many people that were middle class? They used to hear stories about quote unquote middle class people that had like a winter home or like a lake house or like a small cabin out in the woods somewhere. When was the last time you heard that from anybody that your brain didn't immediately clock as, oh, that person's rich? That's what you need to remember about how disconnected the typical person is from what we used to consider strongly middle class.
I feel so sorry for those of you that are the middleman or have been the middleman in your friends' relationships / talking stages. In all honesty, those are the people that I feel most sorry for in this world, because there is nothing worse than being the middleman. At the start, it's all sunshine and roses. You're thinking, oh, I'm such a W man. I've got these two together. I'm going to remember this for life. I'm the reason that these two knew each other. And then all of a sudden the tables flip and you regret even having any involvement. Because when something goes left, you have to find level ground between both parties. Whenever both sides of the party have something that they're angry about and want to get off their chest, they're going to come to you and you have to hear both of them out. And it gets to the point for you where you're going to be so frustrated and so annoyed and you're going to be like, stop talking to me about this. Like, I actually don't care anymore. Like, in order for you to find peace, you just tell them two that they're better off without each other. For example, I had one girl that I was talking to in the past. And basically, when we stopped chatting, she confided in my brethren to heal. Like, she basically used my friends to heal herself. She would hop on the phone to my boy in the morning and she would get off the phone to him in the evening and she would just spend hours and hours rambling. Before this, anytime me and her would get into an argument, she would always go to my other boy in it. But my other boy got to the point where he was fed up of giving her advice. He told her what to do and she didn't listen. So therefore, he just brushed her and told her to stop speaking to him about situations.
The middle class really needs to wake up. Do you remember back in the days, the World Economic Forum said, you're going to own nothing and be happy? Well, the fact is, most Americans right now don't own anything and we're pissed off. So we're first going to look at and remind you what the World Economic Forum said is you're going to own nothing and be happy. And then we're going to look at Elon, how he's showing you and telling you where we're going. AI technology is coming in, blockchain technology. And I really want to help you understand how to prepare yourselves as a middle-class American for the future monetary system. Remember, the baby boomers are the wealthiest generation. They are passing down the wealth now. There's a massive wealth transfer, and it's going into AI technology, blockchain, which is crypto, right? We have a transfer of wealth that is so dramatic. It's going to change the fabric of our financial system. And trust me, the Straits of Hormuz, it's all about resources. Remember, wars are banker wars. You have to understand what is actually happening here. And what I'm really excited about is you will have a link this afternoon. I'll be making an announcement. I'll be doing a live to share with you guys. My book launches on Friday, April 24th, 2026. I'm going to be doing a book launch right here on this channel at 9 a.m. MST time, which I say Arizona time because we don't change time, right? So I will have it on my YouTube channel by this evening. I'm doing a book launch and we're working to get this book to the #1 spot. So if I've done anything to help you in any way, I would love your support. I'm going to have special pricing for the book, and I'm going to give away a ton of free value just for joining the book launch this Friday, 9 a.m. right here on this channel. I'm going to do a whole presentation breaking down free training. I'm going to give you a ton of free value, and there's no obligation to buy the book, but I'm going to have some really special pricing to make sure that you get this book in your hand, which is going to be 18 years of research that I put in to share with you what happened, how it happened, and how to fix it. Okay. I'm teaching you how the American dream is dead and how they stole our dream through inflation, banking, and understanding how to extract value from us. But now,
The middle class is divided in 2026, and it's based on when you bought your house, if you have student loans, and if your children are in daycare. Let's say we have a street with 3 houses that are identical. They're all worth $450,000. There's a boomer couple, Gen X couple, and a millennial couple. Let's say the boomer couple bought their house 30 years ago. It's paid off, and they have property taxes and home insurance for $600. Their student loans are paid off, and their kids are adults, so they have no daycare. Their big 3 is only $600 a month. Their next door neighbor, the Gen X couple, let's say they bought their house 10 years ago, 12 years ago, refinanced in 2021. Their housing payment for the same house is about $1,500 out the door. They have 1 student loan left for $500, and their kids are in junior high or high school, so they have no daycare, so it's $2,000 a month for the big 3. Now the millennial couple who just bought 2 years ago, their monthly payment out the door with taxes and everything is $3,200. They have 2 children in daycare for $2,000, and they have 2 student loans for $1,000 total for $6,200. This millennial couple would have to gross $100,000 to pay taxes, 401k, and health insurance.